This podcast is sponsored by Lucy and Yak, and I'm so excited to share their Indie Biz program with you. Running an independent business means making tough choices, and sustainable options aren't always the most affordable. That's why Lucy and Yak are offering 40% off their sustainably made workwear, including aprons, so you don't have to compromise. Sign up to Indie Biz, and not only will you get the discount, but you could also be featured across Lucy and Yak's channels, spotlighting your business. Plus, they've got exciting plans for 2025, including Indie Biz markets. Head to the Lucy and Yak website to apply and join the community. Have you ever spent hours creating the perfect Instagram post and got crickets? Same. Imagine this instead. A fashion brand sets up a What's Your Style personality quiz using Score app. Shoppers get personalised product recommendations and you get email sign-ups, warm leads and a few cheeky sales. You can even use Score app for product waitlists, competitions and so much more. It's the perfect lead generation tool for your fashion brand. So head to scoreapp.com/fashion and get an exclusive 50% off your first month with Score app, or use the code FASHION at the checkout. Welcome back to the Fashion Brand Clinic. Today I'm chatting to someone I actually met for the first time last week as I was in Manchester, and that is the lovely Faye from Evie Joynes. If you haven't already come across her brand, Evie Joynes is all about slow fashion and creating beautifully made, elevated basics. And Faye started sewing from home during lockdown and has since built her brand into a full-time job. Amazing. All while staying true to her values of comfort, quality, and sustainability. So in this episode, we're going to be chatting about two really important moments in her journey, which is niching down her product range to grow faster and making the huge leap from side hustle to full-time founder. So Faye, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So you dropped me an email not that long ago with an amazing pitch to come on the podcast. So if anyone wants to come on, you've got a pitch and then you just never know where it's going to take you.
Well, I really wanted to come on because I listen to them all the time.
And here we are making things happen.
I was excited when I saw that you were bringing it back for another season. I was like, need to get my pitch in.
Well, thank you, because it's such an interesting angle. And for anyone who's new to the brand, do you want to tell us a little bit about it from your perspective?
Yes, so my brand is Evie Joynes, confusing because I'm Faye Joynes, but it's my middle name and last name. And it's a women's wear brand focused on making elevated basics that are designed to be comfy but also beautiful. So you can just throw them on with like jeans, like if it's a dress, you can just throw it on as a standalone outfit and just look gorgeous without effort.
I love it. And when you first started out, have I got that right, that you started it in lockdown?
I started in 2020, yeah.
Yeah, so let's paint a picture of what those early days looked like for you and for the brand. How did it all begin?
So I was working in London as a designer for a high street chain, and I got furloughed like when everyone got furloughed. I think it was like April or whatever, and I just started sewing. I'd had it in my head for ages that like I wanted to do my own brand because I just felt like I needed a creative outlet, and I just really wanted to do my own thing. So I was like, this is my chance. So yeah, I just started sewing a bit directionlessly at the beginning because I was just kind of experimenting and like seeing what stuck. And I feel like once, because I'd been in uni, then I was working for other companies, like I'd lost my design handwriting a bit. Like I didn't really know what my design style was anymore because I was so used to designing for other people. So I just started experimenting really, and I was just making like loads of different pieces, and I'd say that stage lasted for like 3 years.
So did you have a much broader product range back then?
Yeah, I had a big product range, but it was also like an ever-changing product range. Like I went through phases, but also each phase was also pretty varied. So
Okay.
I just didn't I just had the mindset of like, if I've got more pieces, then something will sell or like something will do well. And I feel like obviously that doesn't work, which I know now. It was good to do that at the start, just as like experimentation to figure out what I liked. But it wasn't really it didn't work as like a business. It was more just the experimentation phase. But yeah, I was making like, I started off with like really delicate fabrics like silks and satins, and I was making like bias cut pieces, which is in like in trying to make a bias cut gown on a kitchen floor.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend it.
And for anyone who's listening that doesn't understand bias cut, basically it's like when you turn the pattern 45 degrees and you cut like diagonally across the fabric, and it
Yeah,
just makes it like drape and fall really beautifully, but also makes it there. And satin, when you sew right side to right side, is very, very slippery as well, which I found out at uni when I decided to do a 100% satin collection and instantly
yeah.
regretted it. Yeah, it just makes it so much harder to sew because yeah, they're like sliding against you. So when did you realize that you needed to kind of pull it back? Say that if we park that as like the experimentation stage, do you feel
Yeah.
like you needed to do that in order to know what to niche into?
I feel like it's different for everyone. I feel like for me, maybe yes, just because it kind of got all these different things out of my system and helped me figure it out. But I also could see, I feel like that was reflective of like the period of my life that I was in as well. Like maybe if I'd started a bit later and I'd just naturally had more time, like just doing things as hobbies and stuff, I would have refined my like design handwriting a bit more before I launched the business. I kind of launched it in the experimental stage and then just improved it and refined it as I went.
So was it the data from the experimenting that made you see these elevated basics were always the things that were selling out? Is that the thing that made you go, okay, I need to niche into that? Or did you niche into it before you knew that it was going to sell well?
So I actually niched into it before I knew that it was going to sell well. So basically the niching down process kind of went, it was very broad at the beginning. I experimented with all these different things, and then there was a point where I started working with like stretch and jersey, and once I started doing that, I fell in love with it, and I was like, this is like the product, the type of product that I like love, because that was what I was wearing as well, and that's like the most authentically me like thing that I love, like product type that I love. So once I started doing that, that was then my path, but it still then had like stages of niching down. So like at first started doing just stretchy pieces and just kind of like comfy pieces, but they were still quite, some of them had like screen prints, they were all different fabrics, had like different techniques used in them. And then from then I refined to just doing like two fabrics. And then it was like about a year ago, I refined it to literally just one fabric, lots of gorgeous colours, but just one fabric, one like more refined style, only a few garment piece like styles. And I actually made that decision before, like that fabric wasn't my best selling fabric, but it was the one that I believed in the most.
Yeah.
And I knew that like if I gave it the attention it deserved and talked about how much I loved it and why it's so amazing, I knew that it had the potential to be my best selling fabric, which it now is because it's the only fabric. But yeah.
You've got no choice. That is what you're getting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And was it scary to do that?
It was really scary because, like I said, I didn't know if that was gonna, it was a risk because I was essentially losing maybe like 60% of my sales potentially, because at the time I did two different fabrics. So I did the cotton jersey, which is the one that I use now. I only use that now. And then I also had a cotton pointel, and the cotton pointel sold better at the time, but I just wasn't as happy with it as I was with the cotton jersey. Like obviously when people see it online, sometimes the quality of a fabric doesn't come across if you don't like really show it
Mm.
to them. So I was like, this is just my favorite fabric I've ever used, ever been in contact with, because it's like buttery soft, super stretchy, super comfy. And I was like, I know that if I communicate this right, people will see like how amazing it is. So I'm just going to concentrate on that, and anything that's like not as good as that just doesn't make the cut anymore. So it was scary, because I was like, it's pressure now to make this one work, but it was worth it, and it did.
Yeah, because it's really tempting just to, like you said at the beginning, keep everything, because I know I've worked with people before and they're like, oh, I keep that because as soon as I go to take it off the website, I sell one. And it's like, yeah, but that's not a reason to keep it if you're selling one every now and then, or
Yeah.
it's okay, but it's not your favorite thing. You've
Yeah.
got to really take control of what it is that you want to do. And I think it's such a power move to say, this is everything that you should be buying. And it's, this is what I've really putting my energy behind. My belief is that this is what you should be wearing, and then these are all the different colors and variants that you can have it in. It's just a much more powerful message when somebody lands on your page,
Yeah.
that they can put you in this little box to say that is what she does, is these gorgeous
Yeah.
basics. And it's really quick to say you should follow her because
I know. Well, this was like in my head as well, that when I was making those decisions, was I remember you saying, I can't remember what course it was. I've done the visibility course and the sales project. I think it was the sales project. Maybe you said you almost want to be put in a box when it comes to your fashion brand, because then people think like, I want a tailored blazer, I'll go to Odd Muse. I want a bag for a wedding, I'll go to Roop. So like it's good to like be put in a box like that, so that you're kind of the go-to for a product, a
yeah,
certain type of product. So
yeah,
I was like, I really want to focus on basics, like gorgeous, beautiful basics, and like everyday pieces. So yeah,
that's what you did.
that's what I did. Yeah.
And how did that make your life easier day to day?
Oh my God, like in every possible way. Because it, first of all, physically, like, because I was making everything, I would do all the pattern work myself as well at the time. So like I'd have a pattern for each piece, and then I would also grade it to be like all the different sizes, and there'd obviously be different construction techniques in each piece, and it would be very complicated. And I remember like having panic about the future of my brand, because I was like, how am I gonna eventually, like, I want help and I want to like hire people, but how are they ever gonna learn like all these vast techniques and like different processes? And now it's so much simpler, and it means that like you can like really refine those processes and really like nail them, and it's become so much more streamlined and better quality as well, because I've like just like niched down into like certain techniques and like nailed them. And then like Poppy, who's been helping me with seamstress work, she's like picked it up really easily, and yeah, it's just so much smoother. And that's on like the construction front, but also on the kind of marketing and social media side, I feel like it's so much easier to convey a clear message when like your message is more clear.
Yeah,
Yeah. like
yeah,
like I can talk about my products. It's like, instead of posting one post about one top and then one about another, and that could take like a month to get through everything, you can really go into like detail about like one piece, what's so amazing about it, the fabric, the composition, yada yada yada, like everything. And
because I
obviously
would say
that's
you
better.
also set yourself a bit of a challenge not that long ago to post a reel every single day. Is that right? Was
Yeah,
it
yeah,
after you niche down?
that was after I niched down. Yeah,
Why did you do that, and what difference did it make?
I did it because honestly, this is such a superficial answer, but because because I'd been doing the business for 3.5, like 4 years at the time, I
Yeah.
was like, I really just want to look like more of a business online. Like, I really wanted to like hit the 10K mark and just have it look more established and be more established. So I was like, right, I just need to take this seriously now. I quit TikTok because I was spreading myself too thin across the two. And I set myself a challenge. I like got a whiteboard and I wrote like the 30 day, I can't remember what month I started with, but wrote like the days of the month. And then I like crossed them off. And then I like really got strategic with it and was like, if a reel did well, I would like do something similar, but like change it and like try and refine it and like really look into like what aspects of it did well. Was there like a hook? Was it visually stimulating? What was it? And try to like replicate and refine and like keep going.
And did it grow your audience?
It grew, yeah, it went from when I started, I can't remember when, I think it was around July last year when I
Yeah.
started, and I had about 4,500, and now it's
18 and a half.
is it it's 18.9, yes, so nearly 19. I can't remember what month it is. Is it April? Yeah, it's April. It's April. It's the end of April, and it's like nearly 19,000. Yeah,
That's
and
so good.
but that was when I started doing that and really trying to communicate what the brand is, what we do, what's so amazing about it. That was also like when my sales started to go up, and then I was able to leave my job as well.
Yes. Yay. We are definitely going to talk about that because that is the goal for so many people.
Yeah.
But just on the content thing, like if somebody's listening now and feels like their content is a bit all over the place, what advice would you give to them based on your experience and doing like setting yourself that challenge?
Try doing something similar where like you post every day, or maybe like if you that feels too much, maybe like however many times a week, but just like be consistent with it. And then think about what it is that you're communicating. So I think it's quite good to have like a story that isn't just for that one post individually, but maybe like think for the week or the 2 weeks. If you've got a product launch coming up, maybe like the 2 weeks running up, you could really go into detail about the product, the development, all these different, all the like different aspects of it, as well as maybe like putting in some more general ones about the brand and like telling the brand story so that people like know, so that people like get really familiar with what it is that you're saying, and people get like hooked into the narrative as well, like telling a story. And just think of, experiment with ways to present it and tell the story that are engaging,
Yeah.
which can take practice. Like there'll still be like a dud. I mean, like that's another thing to remember, like as well, is 9 out of 10 posts your post might not do that well, and that's fine. Like at least you can learn from it and
Yeah.
see what worked and what didn't, and then just treat each day as fresh. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so important. And I know you said about posting every day or what you are able to do. Even if you tried posting every day for 5 days, it is that consistent habit that you need to build that will kind of then you start merging it into your day. You think that I don't have time, but actually when you make the time, you realize how important and what difference it can make. It becomes a priority over all the other stuff that you probably are doing that isn't as important as that. Like you've
Yeah.
just got to almost bump it up above something else. So if you're going to do it every day, what can you take off that you do every day, like
Yeah.
crossing your teeth?
That was that was another thing yeah. That was another thing I did actually, was like when I was doing the challenge, and I kept doing this for ages afterwards. I've fallen off slightly now, but I'm gonna get back in the routine of it. Um, every day when I went to the studio, the first thing I would do would be to make a reel or a post at the studio. Sometimes I'd already have them like drafted or whatever, but I that would be like the first thing I did when I got to the studio, would be like make sure that was done,
Yeah.
post it,
And
and
then
then
you
that's that crossed off for the list. So like where I used to like get to the studio and immediately start sewing, doing all these other things, and then it'd be like halfway through the day or like the end of the day, and I'd be like, oh, I've not posted anything, and I'd be like scrambling to put something together. Make that a priority, and then say like your day starts at 11 instead of, if say like your day starts an hour later because you were doing that,
but it's done.
You've
Like,
prioritised it, now it's done, yeah.
yeah, you're not thinking about it all day. The guilt isn't hovering over you each day. It's just off the list and then you can relax.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've kind of touched upon it before about leaving your job. That is such a huge milestone, and you should be so proud of yourself, like handing in your notice. Can you talk through like what made you feel ready to take that leap?
It was really, to be honest, it got to the point where it didn't make sense for me to stay anymore because I'd started doing shop openings where like I'd take a certain amount of orders and then I'd close my shop and then make them and repeat. And that was filling up pretty fast. So it was at the point where doing shifts at my hospitality job was actually just meaning that I could take less orders. So I was turning away work in order to do bar shifts, which obviously like it didn't make sense anymore. So and that happened pretty quickly. I didn't think it would happen that quickly. But once that became clear, I kind of just jumped on that and left, took that as like a sign to try and get that ball rolling, use that momentum to like invest more time into it and take more orders and grow the business.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it going full time, were there any numbers or goals that you sort of set yourself that helped you feel more confident about doing it? So say when I hit this number, that's when I'm able to leave, or that was my goal in order to basically when I left my job, I knew that I had to earn like X amount per month, and then I would work backwards about how many clients I would need to get that at what price. And did you sort of start looking at the numbers behind the scenes about how many orders you would need to pay your rent and your studio? And
Yeah. So I started looking at, basically there was like a number that I took in, to be honest, I didn't even like fully work it out, but because I was doing the shop openings and closings, I took 30 orders each one and I was doing like about 2 a month. So
yeah,
I knew that like that number, that was the amount that I got to when I was able to leave my job. So I knew that that number was like enough to suffice to was like
to
enough
survive.
to pay the bills and everything, yeah. And that's kind of where that's been like my baseline. It
Mm.
like it incrementally goes up when I like expand capacity and whatnot. But yeah, that was like my baseline where I was like, okay, if I make that, then I'm good. It's not been completely linear. Like there has been a couple of months where I've not made that, but I've learned like not to panic because there's been other months that are better. So
And
it's balanced out.
do you have a backup plan in the sense of not spending all your money when you get all your money and make it like thinking, yay, I've got all this back. Like I saw this post the other day that said being a business owner is mad. Like 1 minute you've got 5 grand and the next minute you've got 50p and then you've got 5 grand again and then you've got 50p, and it's just so erratic, like when you're buying fabric and then sending the orders out and waiting for the money to come in. But I guess having it on a pre-order model does help you with your cash flow and planning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it does really feel like that, what you just said, because it'll be like you'll, like, accept orders, you'll get the payout for it, and then you're like, "Oh, there's money," and then, like, you obviously, like, pay the bills, like, invest it in whatever you need to invest it in, and then it's like, "Okay, there's, like, not really anymore."
Yeah.
And that is still something that I'm, like, coming to grips with, to be honest, because I make to order, that does definitely help, but there's things that I'm, like, logistical things that I'm getting in place, like, I'm starting to buy my fabric in, like, bigger bulk rolls so that I'm not buying in such little bits, which is obviously great, but it's more of, like, a upfront cost.
Mhm.
Same with trims. So, like, and then I've, like, invested in industrial machines, like 2 industrial machines. So, it's kind of like you get money and then you spend it back in the business because obviously you wanna, like, keep making everything better
Mhm.
and more streamlined, so it's worth it. But yeah, I'm still getting to grips with like, I'll be honest, like, there's not much buffer, like, but we make it work.
Also, you were working night shifts in a bar and then day shifts, and it's like you literally I don't understand really when you slept. So how did you manage the pressure of juggling all of that?
It's so weird because I like didn't even realize how hard I was working until I like left in and had the freedom of not doing
Yeah,
bar shifts anymore. But I genuinely think that it didn't feel easy because like obviously it was really hard at times. But I will say like my bar job is in like a restaurant bar, and it was actually like pretty fun. Like I actually really liked the job, and like I've got some of like my best friends I met there, and it was like really chilled, and it's literally opposite my flat. Like if I point, it's there. so
if that makes
so
it easier.
yeah, so like there's no commute. It was like really flexible. So I think that was what made it bearable, was like I actually enjoyed it. And there was a lot of creatives that worked there as well. Like at one point I was doing freelance design work, and I actually quit to do the bar work alongside my brand because I actually found it more like energizing, like the
Yeah.
social side of it. And
And
um
it's like a bit of a break from fashion.
yeah, yeah. So I think if someone else was in the same boat who's listening, like find something that you enjoy and that makes it easy for you. Like if your brand or your side hustle is actually a priority, maybe find a job that lets that be the priority
Yeah.
rather than, like I couldn't be working at Wall Street and then like
Yeah.
also trying to start a brand.
It was the same. Like when I quit my job, I was so nervous that about taking this on full time because I didn't have any clients at all. And I had like a quite decent salary and, working in London, but I just knew it was sort of time to leave, but I couldn't quit completely. So I actually got a job at Paper Chase for
Mm,
like minimum wage. But I thought even if I do sort of have many hours, that will pay for half my mortgage. And for some reason, that just really felt easier somehow to not put 100% of the pressure on the business before it's even really begun. And so I
yeah,
like that you held out and waited until you were confident that you knew what the number was in order to pay all the bills, because I
yeah.
see people leave their job like way too soon and
Mm,
put too much financial pressure on the business, and then for some reason the audience can like detect it that they need those orders
yeah,
rather than building up a sales process that
yeah,
you have done to go, I open twice a month. People understand how the business works. My profits make sense. The buffer is tight, but there is a tiny buffer there. And
yeah.
you've just got a process that makes sense for you. Like, what's your thoughts on that? Like, have you seen people leave their job too soon and then kind of financially panic?
I've not necessarily seen it because all of my small business friends are all slaying it, so they're all doing fine. But that was something that was in my head. It was something that I was nervous about because I'd heard people talking about like if you leave, then you'll figure it out. And
Yeah.
I did feel not pressure, but I was like, well, maybe there was points where I was like, maybe I should just quit and see what happens.
Uh-huh.
Maybe that'll be like the push that I need. And like maybe that works for some people, but it just didn't feel right. And the time that I left, it just felt right. Like it just made sense and everything just kind of fell into place. So
Yeah.
like don't do anything that you're not comfortable with. And there's no shame in having a job as well alongside it. Actually, it's like it's so helpful. Like I did that for 4 years,
Yeah.
and I'm so glad that I did. And
Yes, it allowed you to, like how you explained earlier about putting all the money back into the business.
yeah,
The buffer was way smaller back then. I imagine that it was like you needed the part-time job to pay for all the bills, but then the profit from the business could get reinvested. And like as it grows, the pot expands to be able to
yeah.
pay more. So yeah, I guess having that part-time job really helped you grow the business rather than just maintain it as a side hustle.
Yeah, definitely. Like I don't think I well, I couldn't have done it without that because I would have had no money. All those that experimental stage that I was talking about, I wouldn't have been able to try anything because I wouldn't have had money to try it. I
Yeah.
couldn't have then when I decided to do just stretch, I couldn't have bought a overlocker, which was like the thing that I needed to be able to do it. All these things that you need in those early stages where like maybe you're not making money, but you still need still need to make investments for the business to even like get off the ground. All of that was only possible because I had a job as well. So
Yeah. Because there is a difference between running a business and growing a business, and like
yeah,
having that part-time job allowed you to really grow the business quicker.
yeah, yeah.
And now you are full-time. How does it feel different?
I'd say the it feels a lot more free because there's, like, certain things that I can spend time on and just things that I can do that I wouldn't get to do before. So, like, tomorrow I'm going to, like, a direct to consumer, like, conference thing where they tell, like, inspirational stories and stuff. I know that'll be amazing for my business. But that's the type of thing where, like, if I actually did go last year, so bad example, but, like, if that fell on a day when I was doing a shift, obviously I wouldn't have been able to go to that, or, like, if I was back to back just doing orders and then also had shifts, it just limits your time for, like, what you can do, and I'd say the main thing that I've been able to do is learn more. Like,
Mm,
whereas before I was just doing, it was hard to find the time to learn and, like, get inspiration. So, and now with, like, more free time of being able to, like, watch films and get inspired, like, go to galleries and do those things that are, like, good for creativity that just didn't get much time to do before. So, yeah.
even like things, it's really sunny today and the sun's come out, you can sort of just drop everything and get some nice pics of your product when the sun,
Yeah,
rather than thinking, oh God, like it's going to be dark by the time I get home, and then
yeah,
big
literally, like
pictures. Yeah.
strike while the iron's hot, like, on a nice day, get some pics. If it's sunny in the studio, I like to get some nice pictures while it's, like, really bright.
Yeah.
If you're working to a strict schedule, you might not have that flexibility to be able to do that, so, yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing, yeah.
And for anyone listening who is like, she's living my dream, I want to quit my job and I'm so close, what would you say are some practical steps that somebody could take?
So, I can say what worked for me,
Yeah.
which was being consistent on
Disclaimer.
Yeah. Being consistent on a social media platform, I would pick one.
Yeah.
I can only speak from experience. That's what worked for me. And refine your product range. Don't make life hard for yourself by doing a million different things. Pick what is your favorite. What do you love? If you have to like make 50 reels talking about one piece, what would it be? And then pick that as your hero piece. You can do like it doesn't have to be just one piece, but like I'd say like all in the same vein
Yeah.
and like just not too varied in those early stages and just focus on a refined product, tell everyone about it, why it's amazing. I think that's what worked for me. Hopefully it works for you as well.
It's such good advice. And got a bit of a quick fire round to finish.
Yes.
Ready?
Yeah.
What is your go-to working from home outfit without looking like a slug? Because I'm actually asking this for my own selfish purposes.
It's literally what I'm wearing right now, which is an Evie top, the Audrey tank, because it's comfy and easy to wear. There's no styling involved, just put it on. And then I always wear it with like baggy jeans for working from home. Yeah.
Yeah, thank the Lord that baggy jeans are back in fashion, honestly.
Oh, yeah. Skinny jeans. No, it's a no.
Not the one. No.
No.
And what would you say is the most underrated part of running your own fashion brand?
Ooh, I would probably say the community and like the friends that you'll make
Yeah.
because when I first started, I was working from my kitchen and then through like Instagram and like going out in the world and like meeting other small business owners, having a studio, going to like local shops. Suddenly, not suddenly, it's like developed over the years, but I've got like a whole network of like friends now that do similar things, and they're like some of my best friends, and it's just fun.
I
So
know. I know what you mean by suddenly. It feels like where have all these people come from in my life that it is
yeah,
like going to this networking event and this party and this pop up, and you just kind of like collect
it's
them
a
as you
slow
go.
build, yeah, like Pokemon. But yeah, I remember it's weird at first because I remember like watching people online and I was like, "Oh, they know each other, like, how do they know each," and I was just in my kitchen like, "Oh, I wanna be whoever I want friends." And then, like, it just gradually, like yeah, just if you, like, make an effort to be involved, then you'll be involved.
Yeah, and it's not creepy to like DM people. I really want to get that across. Like to go, oh, I think what you're doing is amazing because
Yeah,
it's
like, ask to go for
stupid.
a coffee or something.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really nice to just have a chat. And then lastly, if I gave you £10,000 tomorrow for the brand, what would you spend it on?
I'd invest it in people that could help me with
Yeah.
the brand and kind of fill the gaps that I can't. So, like, one of the things that I really urgently want to do soon is um have like a website overhaul because it's not quite where I'd like it to be. So someone that knows about like website optimization who can kind of like go through all that would be amazing, the more like technical side of it all. I'd do like a beautiful shoot and like update my brand imagery and just get everything like that into all the like technical sides of it that I need people to help with. I'd
Hmm.
get all help with all that, yeah.
Because your most one of your most recent investments was your branding with Sarah at Hey Girls. Yeah.
Yes!
And
Yeah.
I also got my branding with her. She's a fellow friend of the podcast. She's been on
I
previously.
know, I remember her episode, yeah.
This is like a slight tangent because it's not a quick fire question, but I've just thought of it. What difference do you think having your branding made to your brand? Because I find it really hard to explain to somebody what difference it made because it's not just a logo, is it? It's so much more than that. What difference do you think it made to you?
Do you know what? It made a huge difference. It's the identity of your brand,
Yeah.
and I feel like it even influences the design because it kind of streamlines if it's, like, good branding, which it is from Sarah, like, she really, like, encapsulates what the brand is, and it's like everything in your head is, like, out, and it's it's like the handwriting of your brand. I can't remember what he's called, but I think he was the creative director of Nike,
Mm-hmm.
and I listened to him on a podcast. I literally can't remember what it was,
That's fine.
um, but he described branding as the frame and then the picture is like the product, and
Mm,
it's like the product if it's just on a piece of scrap paper and it's not presented well, it isn't that much, people might not get it, but if it's like in a beautiful frame and it makes sense and it's clear, that's like the difference branding makes. It like helps people understand your brand.
yeah, I get that. I remember, Imogen at Sister Brand as well. I heard a video with her and she said something kind of similar. You've just made me think of what it was. And she said that your product is the skeleton and your brand is the personality. So, like, it could be loads and loads of t-shirts or jeans,
Yeah.
but what makes it your jeans is your personality, and that is the branding that goes on top. And it just makes it different and better.
Yeah. I think that, like, applies to so many things as well, like, if you think of a film, if you think of a director, they all have their own, like, aesthetic that goes into all their films, like, if someone else made that film, it might be rubbish, but if Sofia Coppola makes it, you're like, "Oh my god,
It's
it's
happening.
amazing." Because 'cause it's got, like, the writing and it's, like, hazy and it's, like so, yeah, I think that same principle applies to branding.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that's very helpful. Thanks. And what's next? Like, I know you've obviously just got goal after goal being ticked off. So what's next on the goal list that you've got?
So at the minute, I'm honestly just trying to get everything like logistically in place
Yeah.
and running as like getting some systems in place because I did that when I went full time and when I started doing shop openings, I had systems in place. Now it's growing another bit. You kind of have to redo that. Like, I need some help cutting out the orders now. There's a bit too many. I want to focus more on marketing
Mhm.
and the running of the business and get more help with the more practical side of things. So that's what's on the agenda at the minute, is just like incremental steps towards becoming a bigger business, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, I have absolutely no doubt that you will do it
Thank
because
you.
wonderful. And thank you so much for sharing your story today. If you're listening and you're currently kind of balancing your brand with another job, I hope today has reminded you that taking it slow and giving your business some breathing space can actually kind of set you up for more success in the future. And make sure you check out Faye's beautiful brand, Evie Joynes. She is called Faye and not Evie, just FYI. And the link is in the show notes. If you're enjoying the Fashion Brand Clinic podcast, I also have a private broadcast channel on the same name on my Instagram at Elizabeth Styles UK for behind the scenes chats and updates. And if you're watching on YouTube, leave a little comment underneath to let us know what you thought of the episode. And then I'll see you next week. Bye. Fashion founders, let's talk about something your brand can't exist without: words. You already know your designs are incredible and your vision is clear, but something is missing. If you're feeling invisible in the fashion world, struggling to sound consistent across platforms, or feeling fed up not knowing what to say in your marketing, then you need The Visionary, the ultimate brand voice masterclass by Studio C. Led by Studio C founder Charlotte Ferris, this on-demand masterclass harnesses a decade of experience to guide you through all things brand voice so you can shape your signature sound and transform casual followers into loyal customers. What you say and how you say it is infinitely powerful. Mastering your brand voice isn't just about writing better, it's about building a voice that's unmistakably yours, one that speaks authentically and connects you endlessly to your dream customers. I know firsthand how fundamental finding your brand voice is, which is why I worked with Studio C to write the copy for my website back when I first became a fashion brand consultant. So if you're ready to make your fashion brand stand out, head to studioc.uk today to join The Visionary, the ultimate brand voice masterclass, and get ready for your brand to break through the noise.